Hi, grade 11 children. We are going to learn about the homeostasis. Actually, what do you mean by homeostasis? Maintaining the internal environment of our body constant is known as the homeostasis. Okay, maintaining the internal environment of the body constant is called homeostasis. What do you mean by internal environment? Internal environment, right? Internal environment means the immediate surrounding, right? The immediate surrounding. Okay, the immediate surrounding of the cell is known as the internal environment. Okay, the immediate surrounding of the cell that provides the medium for the cell to survive. Example, the tissue fluid around the cells, the plasma around the blood cells, and the lymph are included as the internal environment, right? When the internal environment is constant, right, the condition inside the cells also will be constant. Even if there is a small change in the internal environment, it highly affects the activities of the cell, right? It highly affects the cellular activities. So the internal environment should maintain in the stable conditions, right? And if it is not maintained stable, the automatic control system will be active with the feedback mechanisms. So what are the factors in the internal environment should be maintained? Blood glucose level, body temperature, and water balance should be maintained. Okay, the internal environment. So let's see the regulation of blood glucose level. Okay, first of all, you have to know the blood glucose level, right? The normal blood glucose level of a healthy person is, okay, or the healthy adult is 80 to 120 milligram per 100 milliliter of the blood. Okay, 80 to 120 milligram per 100 milliliter of blood, you have to remember. And in our body, pancreas is there, and pancreas is made up of islets of Langerhans cells that comprised of alpha and beta cells. Okay, and the beta cells is in the islets of Langerhans is responsible to secrete insulin. And alpha cells is responsible to secrete glucagon hormone, right? So there are two hormones secreted in the pancreas, insulin and glucagon. So alpha cells are responsible to secrete hormone glucagon, and beta cells are responsible to secrete insulin. Okay, normally when the blood glucose level is greater than the normal level, so the beta cells in the islets of Langerhans in the pancreas will secrete more insulin, right? So what happens, the function of this hormone to convert the excess glucose into glycogen. Okay, then the glycogen will be stored in the liver, and also the excess glucose is also converted to fat and stored in adipose tissue. Adipose tissues can be found between the muscles, within the bones, in the breast. Okay, right. So when the blood glucose level is less than the normal, okay, so we can say even when the person is starving, okay, so alpha cells in the islets of Langerhans in the pancreas, they will be stimulated to secrete more glucagon. So this glucagon acts on the glycogen stored on the liver to convert into the glucose and also release into the blood. Then the blood glucose level will be increased to the normal level. So normally, due to the absence of beta cells or the secretion of insulin will cause the diabetes. Okay, right. Now let's see the regulation of the body temperature. Humans, right? Mammals, or we can say under mammals only the human is a warm-blooded organism. Okay, we are warm-blooded organism. What do you mean warm-blooded or the homoiothermic organism? That means we maintain, in our body, the body temperature is maintained at constant level irrespective to the fluctuation of the temperature in the environment. Our normal body temperature is 37 degrees Celsius, but it can vary from 36 to 37.5 degrees Celsius, right? So the main thermoregulatory center, right, the thermoregulatory center of the human is present in the hypothalamus. Okay, we can also say the hypothalamus of the brain is the thermoregulatory center, right? So normally when the environmental temperature decreases or drops, okay, what happens? To avoid the decrease of the body temperature, hypothalamus will be stimulated and carries out these following activities. At first they reduces the blood supply to the skin to reduce the heat loss by contracting the blood vessels or the blood capillaries in the skin. Then they reduce the production of sweat in sweat glands and reduce the heat loss. Okay, then the hairs becomes erect, and also it traps an air layer to act as the heat insulating layer. And also if the heat loss is high, the heat is generated even by shivering. Okay, these the activities will be carried out by the with the help of hypothalamus when the environmental temperature drops. That means when the environment is so cool. Okay, so when the temperature of the external environment, right, when the temperature of the external environment is high, or when the temperature of the internal environment tries to increase, to prevent the increase of the body temperature, the hypothalamus stimulates again to activate the following processes. What happens? The dilated blood vessels, okay, the dilated blood vessels in the skin. And also therefore what happens when the blood vessels dilate in the skin, so the blood supply, okay, the blood supply to the skin also increase, and therefore it increases the heat loss and increase the sweat production by the sweat glands. So when the sweat is evaporated, so heat is absorbed by the body, right, and decreases the body temperature, right? So regulation of body temperature is done by the hypothalamus. Let's check the regulation of the water balance, right? Water balance. Okay, so what happens normally when the water level, or the amount of water in the blood reduces, what happens? The pituitary, okay, the pituitary glands, okay, the pituitary glands in the brain secretes the antidiuresis hormone, that is we can simply say ADH, okay, ADH. So pituitary gland secretes the ADH, okay, antidiuresis hormone. So this ADH will act on the kidney. So kidney to reabsorb, okay, to increase the reabsorption of water. What happens in the reabsorption of water? So if the reabsorption increases, so it, okay, so the amount of water, right, the amount of water in the blood will increases. So thereby it reduces the amount of water released with the urine. Okay, so when the reabsorption, right, when the reabsorption increases, right, when the reabsorption increases with the act of ADH, therefore what happens? It reduces the amount of water released with the urine. Okay, that means the water level will increase in the blood. Okay, so when the water level in the blood is high, so if the water level is high, so water should be removed. So to remove the water, the reabsorption, right, the reabsorption of water decreases. So when the reabsorption of water decreases, what happens? The more water, right, the more water will be released with the urine. So when more water is released with the urine, so the level will be managed. Okay, right. So I think you have gotten clear idea about the homeostasis.